if Stafford winds up in Pittsburgh, where does Russell Wilson go? I have been saying Vegas. I've just been hearing Vegas. It's kind of almost too cute to put him in Vegas. What do you think?
I think that makes sense because if you're the Raiders, I think I would want to spend not a lot on a quarterback this year and just kick the can until next year. And I think that Russell Wilson is a very good option for that. He knows Pete Carroll. He's not going to cost you a lot. So a stopgap option like that for a team that's in the Raiders position, I think that makes a ton of sense.
Is there this Trevor Lawrence thing I was not ready for this morning. So like what do you feel like there's some crazy like not talked about quarterback trade in the works potentially this year?
I mean, that one potentially makes sense if you are having real buyer's remorse if you're the Jags. You have a new front office, you have a new coaching staff, and I actually misread some of the contract details this morning. If they trade him before March 22nd, it's only $30 million in dead money for the Jaguars.
Just $30 million?
That's well, $30 million is not that bad for a single year of dead money. He would count $17 million against the cap if he's on the roster. So you would at least be able to field the team if you moved on from him. This is different than the Justin Herbert conversation from last year, where people were like, oh, would they trade Justin Herbert? They couldn't trade him. Like, there was no financial reality where that was possible. For the Jags, you could potentially do it. And so if you just wanted a really hard reset, it's potentially in the cards. I would be surprised by that. I think that Trevor Lawrence and the way that his contract is structured over the next 3 or 4 years, the cap hits are pretty manageable based on how they've built the deal. He's a young quarterback. I think that the circumstances he'll be in Liam Cohen's offense are probably better than any of the circumstances he's been to this point. I feel like you're going to be hard pressed to improve or build. Like, I think you're going to be hard pressed to improve on what Trevor Lawrence is for you right now, given his age, given the trajectory, everything else, and what's available at quarterback. Like, what are you going to do if Trevor Lawrence isn't your quarterback if you're the Jags?
Gosh, we'll see what happens. It's the offseason, so it's time for Aaron Rodgers to shine. This is his world. Loves the offseason headlines. And this is the latest. We have informed Aaron Rodgers we will be moving in a different direction at quarterback. This is a tweet this morning. I had not seen this. Let's start with what the market is for Rodgers.
It's going to be one of those teams that just needs a short-term answer at quarterback. I mean, if you're Tennessee, right, and you don't want to take a quarterback at 1, but you want to be a little bit more competitive this year, is he somebody that makes sense?
Does he want to go there?
I don't know how robust his market's going to be. Okay. I mean, he may not be picking between a bunch of different suitors given how last season went. But I think there's probably going to be some team out there that says, for 2025, he's the best that we can do. I don't think you want to commit to him for much longer than that, but as a stopgap option, I think that he's still probably got enough left in the tank to justify it.
Don't you think he would just walk away at that point? Like, if we're thinking about it from Aaron's lens, right? Like, where do you want to end your career? What kind of a situation? Like, he thought the Jets would be a contender. The Titans certainly not a contender, even if they get Aaron Rodgers, right? So I don't think stopgap is the energy that he would want to bring into 2025 in his 41st year on earth, 20 whatever at quarterback. Is there a world where I don't know, like, I'm thinking of just like a contender. Like, Niners is a thing. Have you heard this?
That to me seems not realistic. Like, everything that they've said publicly, and they've been emphatic about how much they like Brock Purdy. I think this is going to be about figuring out the right price for Brock Purdy. I don't think this is going to be about seeking out another quarterback. And even if they can't come to some sort of resolution on the deal, he's still under contract for this year. Like, Brock Purdy's going to be on the 49ers this year. So that one would surprise me. And the idea of him walking away, I totally get that. Now it becomes a question if you're Aaron Rodgers with, do you want that to be your last act in the NFL? Do you want the Jets publicly kicking you out the door to be the last thing that happens in your NFL career? Part of me thinks even if the circumstances are less than ideal in a place like Cleveland or Tennessee, wherever, he would want to try one more shot just to have the taste, whatever that taste from last year with the Jets, to get that out of his mouth before he moved on.
It'd be super fascinating. He'll dominate the headlines yet again. Are you happy with what I'm doing with the Packers? I know you're a Bears guy. I mean, I work in the front office. I'm bringing Devontae back. You know, Keyshawn Nixon's helping me. I'm trying to get Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. Like, are you happy with my work so far with the Packers?
I support it. I think if you look at that roster, they've done a really good job of building a solid group of players. That's a great move. It's a great start.
Thanks.
I think they them and Buffalo, I kind of think of in similar ways, where if you look at the roster in totality, it's like, oh, that was a good bet. That was a good bet. That's a solid player. But if you think about the amount of difference makers they have compared to the elite teams in the league, there is a little bit of a gap. And so trying to do something this offseason where we can really put ourselves over the top, I think in both places, that's a worthwhile pursuit.
Adams to the Packers.
I love it. I totally support that.
I'm cooking on it. Hey, there's a Blink-182 concert at the Hollywood Palladium tonight. Should I go?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay.
The Palladium's a great venue. I fully support that.
Done. I'll be there. Take a look and watch and listen wherever you get your anything to the Athletic Football Show with Robert Mays. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks, Rob.